Hey folks, welcome back to the Nate Carlisle Show. Today, before we get started, take a minute and subscribe, comment. Not very many people are liking comments. They're just calling and bitching. So just comment about it. I'll get back to you. It's a way you can talk directly to me because I answer comments. And share this with someone else that either needs to hear or needs to comment. With that, we're going to get into it today. So today I got Justice on the podcast with me, and we did a podcast, a controversial podcast a month or two ago that was my best podcast to date, but we had to take it down, and we're going to talk about why we had to take it down, and we're going to give Justice a opportunity to grill me because I grilled him quite a bit on that last podcast. And I think there's going to be a lot of value in this and a lot of behind the scenes situations in it. So with that, we're going to let Justice go off with a few questions and that.
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? I want to start off with what has it looked like from my side of view of me, how I reacted to everything. And is this the direction you want to go?
Okay, keep in mind that we took the podcast down, so try to give them context when you refer back to it, unless you want me to upload it again.
No, I want it to stay down just because of how it paints the picture of us. I don't think that'll serve us. Because a lot of the people that have listened to it are like, dude, they don't know you as well as I do. And so they're like, dude, why the fuck you hanging out with this motherfucker? He's kind
First reason why they shouldn't be criticizing, because they don't know.
Yeah,
They're
but that's not going to stop
qualified.
them from doing it. You criticize people that you don't know.
Well, we can't stop anybody from doing anything.
And so I don't like when people call and say, hey, the fuck, and dig into it. Now, they have a lot of them are going about it with my best interest in their mind. And this is why a lot of it was talking about you, saying, why are you hanging out, or why are you letting him say those types of things to you? And if he's going to do that and treat you like that, then I think you should get out of it. But they don't have the context, and that podcast was purely for content. And you took the words and you twisted it, but I let you. Because I had context. We had a previous conversation beforehand, so it didn't affect me at all.
Yeah, so one of the questions I have is, why did we end up taking it down? And one would say I'm butthurt about it. I'm not butthurt about it because if you have a right-hand man and you don't listen to him, if you claim to trust someone, then you don't listen to their wishes and do little things to conform to their wishes, then they're not really your right-hand man, and you don't want that. So don't treat people like slaves. Listen to them and understand them. And we want to treat people like they're people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I listened to it and took the podcast down.
I wanted it down because, like I said, it paints me and you in a way that I don't think in the future would serve us. Right now, we're messing around, we're fucking around. But in the future, I think that would hinder us of getting future work.
Me talking about relationships. See, one of the things that I don't like about a lot of people when they
well, that podcast didn't only talk about relationship on a love level, on a romantic level. It went all over the place with business relationships. And to me, if I was building a building and I listened to that before I had offered the contract, I would retract the contract, because I would think in my mind of, who is this? Do I want this person to be involved with me? Because it came across as very mischievous and manipulative, like, oh, this is a big bad villain, kind of.
Well, and the truth of it is how many people are listening to that podcast that I'm making big deals with? And don't think I didn't think about that. because I did. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the public eye, the portraying of who I
Mm-hmm.
of who's out there.
Mm-hmm. Right now, the people you're signing contracts with aren't listening to that.
Yeah, and they won't. Keep in mind, there's right now, and I contemplated this for months since we started this podcast back in January. Like, what am I able to say in the first little while? The truth of it is you need to go viral somehow, some way, right? And only pumping out positivity doesn't go viral. It just doesn't. Maybe after 5 years, then you get a following, but it don't go viral. So the truth of it is I got a great team with Tecton, and most of our customers love my team more than they love me, which is perfect. I'm fine with that. That's by design. I put people in place that are better than me, and that's by design. That's what all great founders and CEOs do. And so, like, I'm not even on. I'm trying to promote me to try to learn how to promote the business itself, right? And to do that, you can't promote yourself unless people know you. So there's always going to be some controversial content out there to be able to get some traction. And we all know that the controversial content that Trump put out is what made him viral, what made him popular. Now, I think the election was stolen in 2020, but you could argue maybe it weren't. Well, it's all his negativity, the negative context of all his viral shit that got him voted out in 2020, one would argue. But guess what? Then we come to find out that he's still him, and we still want him in. So he's going to get back in unless they do something very terrible to him, like they did in 2020. So my point is the controversial will come and go, and it will negatively affect, but it ultimately will come back around to the popularity. You need popularity to go places and be of a great influence.
Okay. My problem with that controversial is it was like 99% controversial. And so but every feedback that I got and heard of, it was like, this motherfucker's dumb.
Okay, but keep in context here. Like, let's bring in, that was like our 18th or 17th episode, and we've done 22. So you say, oh, that whole podcast was controversial, but literally it was like 120 of all the content or less.
Well, that got the most views.
Right. I know. It went viral. It did what we intended it to do.
Too well.
Not too well. Not well enough, because it didn't get double the views before we took it down.
It tripled the views before we took it down. I don't want to be painted in that picture. Now, if you want to cut out me, I'm fine. If you want to put that back up and cut me out, I'm fine with that.
Well, here's the truth of it is that when it comes down to it, and it's why you're back on the podcast, is you made the comment numerous times, I didn't have enough comebacks, right? And that to me is the biggest reason why I listened to you, is because, to be fair, you needed to come back more. You needed to defend yourself more, which would have created better content anyway.
There was context for that. It's because we had a conversation before and after where I did come back. But it was on the spot of, there's cameras on me now. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. So like it's just about like what I learned. The biggest thing I learned, and I actually think we're gonna have something similar in the coming future. Another controversial podcast like that in the future. But we won't do it unless you can come back and defend yourself.
And absolutely.
in any way.
That's the first podcast I've ever been on. So there was stage fright in there. And as you know, stage fright on as far as when you started putting yourself on social media.
Yeah. No, I have no doubt. I don't but that's the only reason why that podcast was taken down. Because if you were being equally aggressive at me, that would have been even better. The haters that hated all me on it would have called you and complimented you about how much you went after me. And I'm fine with that. That's the thing about that I've learned in my business and that has created the business I've created is I understand I need feedback. I need kickback because I'm only seeing one vision. I have one target and I'm only one person. I can only do so much. I need people out there that's bringing information. I need people out there that's looking at it from different points.
Right.
And so I'm very open to criticism. That doesn't mean I won't defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I am very open to criticism. And that brings us to another point that we talked about off camera, and that is people are intimidated by my bluntness.
Yes, very much so. They will never say it to your face either.
Yeah, but I'm open to them.
Okay, but because it's in that first initial stage. They just need
to be blunt back to me. And I always say that.
But they're afraid that you're going to slash them up and cut their head off. Based on your first conversation with them, the loudness and the volume and the boldness of it, they're like, this motherfucker is either psychotic or he's going to slash me up. And so when you're like, hey, give me feedback, they're like, no, he's going to cut my head off.
So don't defend yourself. Like, I'm one person. I understand. I defend my circle. I defend who I am.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying in the context of getting feedback, they're not going to give the feedback that you want because they're afraid of you're going to strip their dignity from them. And they'll leave.
If my bluntness can strip somebody's dignity from them, they didn't have any in the beginning. Or at least they ain't protecting what they had.
Okay.
People need to protect it. And if it takes me being blunt with them to realize that, I'm fine with that.
That's the way they think they need to protect it, is they just shut up. Because they've never had to deal with someone that is like pulled it out of them.
That's because everybody around them has been just big, weak,
it's cool.
bitch
It's comfortable.
asses.
It's comfortable.
It's dumb.
Okay, but it's
you
the
gotta
reality
put
situation.
yourself in situations. Like one of the things that I hang out with Brad a fair amount, Brad Lee, and I'll always tell him, look, grill me. Like, I'm down. You want to grill me? Grill me. I want to put myself in situations where people will grill me and I get uncomfortable so I can grow a bigger set. I intentionally try to put myself in situations where people have to grill me because that's what will refine me. That's what will get me a better person.
That takes bigger balls.
So why wouldn't I do that to other people if that's what has caused my success?
That's what you've been doing. But it's taking a very few and bringing them closer and then shoving away 95% of the rest.
I don't think that's a problem.
If that's what you're going for, then you're on the right track.
No, it's not what I said. It's not that I'm going for that. I just don't think it's a problem.
So you're going for it then?
No.
So what are you going for then?
I'm going for helping everyone out that I come in contact with. And how I've got my results is and put it in your words, my dignity has been stripped a lot of times.
That sucks. Getting your dignity stripped on the spot.
Yeah, but it grows a set. It helps you grow a set.
It does, but how do you help the person that's getting their dignity jabbed or stripped? How do you help that person realize it's for a good cause? Because in the moment, you're like, dude, this is gay. I never want to feel this again.
First of all, if they're not open to being helped, you can't help them. So don't even waste your time on it. Right? But like there's some few people in my circle that stick around after what you called strip their dignity that come back and say, what the fuck did you mean there? And by the way, that made me feel stupid. And keep in mind, I don't like to make people feel stupid. But again,
your personality makes them feel like that.
Me feeling stupid is why I'm running a $20 million business. Because it refined me. It helped me realize what I needed to become to do what I needed to do. And so I don't have a problem with people feeling stupid. The problem I have is when we don't get the result I was after. And if that happens, I do feel a little bit bad. But there's so many times, so many people that have walked away from me and then come back around, even years later, and says, thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
That changed me. Your bluntness, your straightforwardness changed me for the better. And I would have never realized that if I wouldn't have said, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, it's just about.
Well, what's a better way that you can help people learn how to handle, well, not handle, but how to receive your personality better? Because your personality is very polarizing to the face value. Like, if someone don't know you, they listen to this podcast, they're like, dude, this motherfucker's, he's a law.
A dick, whatever you want to call it.
Your words. So even me in the beginning, I didn't know how to handle you for the longest time, because it sent me this way and it sent me that way, because the comment you said here would be like, sit wrong with me. I'm like, this motherfucker's dumb. And then another comment you'd say would be, okay, I can be friends with him. And it would be over here and over there and over here, up and down all around. And that's what so many people are feeling. And it takes a very special type of person to bring themselves back and say, okay, this comment sent me this way, but I want to be here. I need to pull myself over here. Now, my point of saying all this is...
Well, hold on. Like, keep that thought. I'm fine with that, because I want the special kind of people around me.
But it's going to come with a shit ton of hate. Like a shit ton. Even from your own family, the closest people around you.
Yeah. So I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Because it's like, for me to avoid all the hate would be for me to avoid being who I am.
Mm-hmm. But as long as you know what's coming and what's down that avenue or down that hallway, then there's no problem.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's a situation, but I don't view it as a problem.
Okay.
And one of the things that we have identified is that got a lot, that podcast got a lot of views, but no comments. It was like, what the hell?
Can you even comment on Spotify or Apple?
No, most of the views came from YouTube.
There's no comment. I saw. I'm like, what the fuck?
I was shocked, but we got a ton of feedback around, like through you and through me and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what I identified is, to me, the podcast did what I intended to do. It went viral.
But it was purely for content.
It was for content only. We could have done better content, and that's why it's down right now, is because Justice didn't defend himself enough. And I think there's a lesson to be learned, mostly on your part and a little bit on my part. I shouldn't bring someone in that, so to speak, is huge, like, not so to speak, but it for reals is my right-hand man, and grill them, because that undoes a little bit of our relationship. If we weren't able to talk about the hard things and figure things out the hard way, we probably wouldn't have recovered from that. So that's one thing. But the lesson that someone in your situation could learn from is get and make sure you don't put yourself in a position where you're going to look stupid unless you're ready to fight back. Now, if you're ready to fight back, put yourself in that position all day long, because it's only going to do you good.
Yeah. In the beginning of that podcast, I thought it was going to be chill. Like, I had no idea it was going to take my words and twist the fuck out of them. And so it caught me off guard. And
see, what's interesting is
so there was stage fright in there.
I've listened to that podcast 3 times. Okay. And I don't know how I took your words and twisted them.
You was making these statements of, in my moment, and in the moment that, say, in my past life, I was doing the best that I knew how. You was calling that as you was weak and taking them and turning them in a way that I don't think that they were.
I think I remember that part, and in that context, it was an opinion-based podcast. It wasn't me telling you your truth. It was me telling you my opinion of what you were doing.
Well, you was stating your opinion in the terms of you was this, and you was this, and you're trash for this. That's how the viewers viewed it, and that's kind of how I viewed it afterwards. In the content or in the moment, it wasn't like that because it was for content.
True that. But I would argue, and we still have it, and one of the days we ought to just you and I watch it and listen to it. But I'm fine, and I got a story to tell after I make this point. But I'm fine with taking feedback and being wrong. I'm fine with being wrong. Why am I fine with being wrong? Because I can't improve unless I find out I'm wrong. If I'm always finding out, or if I'm always thinking I'm right, but I'm actually wrong, like I can't go any further until, oh, this is my problem. I need to change. So I'm always good with being wrong.
Yes.
It's just got to come with somebody that has credibility. It has to come with someone who's qualified to tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. Well, in my example, for me, I'm not doing as much money as you're doing. So how do I?
Yeah, but you have a big part
credibility.
in it. You're part of those. You're part of that team.
But how do I prove my credibility to you to be like, hey, bro, take my opinion, because right here you're fucking up. So, or what do you view as credibility?
History. Like you say, how do you do it? You've already done it. Like you're. Like we have hard conversations. Like people look at that podcast for one, and then they look how well we get along. Like we're always hanging out with each other. Like we're going same places, doing a lot of things the same. And they're like, how can Nate do this? And Justice and Nate how can Nate do this to Justice, referring to that podcast? And then later on, they're just best buddies.
Yeah.
How do we do that? The truth is we are always having hard conversations with each other.
Every day, I would say.
Yeah, like, and it's not only me having grilling you. You grill me a lot. Like today, you grilled me a lot on a lot of different things. Now, did I defend myself or explain myself or agree with you? Yeah, I did all three of them. And you're not gonna be able to just grill me and let me shut up. Like that's not happening. And I would expect the same with you. If I grill you, don't shut up. You have a justification / explanation. But if it's a pity,
I justify a lot, because when someone's grilling you, you're like, dude, fuck off. This is why I've been doing it. When Brad grills you.
People say justification is bad. No, it's not. Justification is often misinterpreted as just explanation. There's an explanation. If there's someone real doing something, there's always an explanation of why they're doing it.
I can believe that there's a line to that.
It's not a justification most of the time. It's an explanation. It's all on the other party on how they take it.
So in the beginning, before you do it, you'll be like, hey, this is why I did it.
Yeah, that's just a communication error. Like,
well, I think that's the turning point.
I understand you, why you're grilling me on this, but here's my mindset behind the scenes. That explains to the other party that it's actually an explanation, not a justification, and that you are open to change if we can come to a resolution.
So, as referring back to the podcast, on the business side of things, the relationship, you for sure have credibility on dealing with general contractors and all of that, because you've done it a lot of times. So you're like, okay, this motherfucker's done 20 million and with all these big contractors. He clearly has something to offer. But now where a lot of people have come back and said his relationship, that's a little fishy. His opinion on relationships, I think, is bullshit. Because he's only been with one woman, and you clearly stated it multiple times in there that it's anyone that's totally replicatable. You could basically copy and paste. And the feedback I was getting is that's not copy. You can't copy and paste what you have.
Yes, you can. You just get the right coach.
I don't feel that way. Or I would have one.
Why can't you? Like, I actually do get that opinion a lot. Like, you don't give relationship advice. And to me, it's just like, why? I have a very successful relationship.
I think the reason why people say don't give relationship advice is because when the person comes to you and says, hey, give me some of your advice, you shut them up and then you ram your opinion down their throat and then send them out. And this goes back to your personality of you intimidate them enough and then you state your opinion in such a way that it's
think
hard
that's
to eat
inaccurate.
it.
I ask a lot of questions, and I've had people say you don't ask enough questions. I ask a lot of questions because I don't give advice unless I know context.
The reason I think that's wrong is because you cannot change something on a mind level from a state of shame. If you're feeling guilty and bad about yourself, you can change it for a minute, but it's going to go back or worse.
Yeah, but you can't change unless you know that you need to change. And
But
most of
for sure.
the time, people need to know they need to change.
Okay.
And that don't happen out of being a pussy to them. That don't happen.
Well, it has to be their
just,
idea.
Just making them all comfortable. You
Okay.
have to be uncomfortable
Okay.
to realize you need to change.
For sure. But if you're constantly shaming them, say you're a fucking piece of shit,
I
if
don't
you
do
continue this, then they're not going to change.
I don't do that.
For example, I'm not saying you're doing it. I'm saying that's why people are saying that to you because they're perceiving that. And I will give you an example on 75 hard, for example. I did 75 hard. And for the first half of it was great. But around day 50, if anybody knows what 75 hard is, if you fail one of the tasks, you have to restart. Around day 50, I was having nightmares in sleep of failing. Because I'm so far in, I'm just like freaking out. Every single day freaking out. So from day 50 to day 75, that didn't go away. But I did it. I passed through the whole thing. But it came with, there was almost a side of shame to it. And then after I did it, I kept up the lifestyle for like a month after. And then like the second and third month, I spiraled like a motherfucker. Worse than before I started.
Okay.
Why do you think that is?
I want to hear your explanation on that.
My opinion is the state of mind that puts you in is a shaming. Like, oh shit, if I don't do this, I'm not good enough. If I don't do this, I'm not good enough. Because you ultimately aren't good enough because you have to restart. And so to continue it, if you fail even one page of reading, restart. Or didn't finish your last gallon of water, have to restart. That's from a state of shame. Now, rather than doing that, I think if you change a few things in the beginning and say, I'm going to do my absolute best to live this lifestyle, it will go way further. Even if you do, say on day 10, you miss one thing. You have to have a lot of discipline either way. You can't do either without discipline.
I think, like, here's my opinion on it, is like, if you're feeling like, fear that you're going to do something, if you've dedicated yourself to it, let's take my fast 40 deal that I'm doing, and I'm on day 27 today. I was 223 at the beginning of this, and I'm 204 today.
Nice.
Right.
Hit me with that.
And I've messed up and I've cheated a little bit. For almost for a week span, I was cheating a little bit and doing other things. But what I realized is, prior to that, I was doing what you're saying. Like, you're not cheating out of fear because you don't want to mess up, because you're worried about do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes to be dedicated? Do I have what it takes to be disciplined? But after that week of cheating, what I realized is it's not about do I have what it takes. It's about, do I want the results this is getting me? And so since then, I had one morning I woke up and I was plus 3 pounds because I had drank some alcohol. And I had 2 hours in the camp trailer at our family reunion, just really beating myself up, trying to know what was wrong with me. And what I realized is I just need to focus on the results. And when that temptation is focused on me, it's not a temptation because I want the results that it's getting. So I jumped back on track like that, and I have not missed a beat since. And since that point, since that morning I'm talking about, I am down 9 pounds.
Yes.
So like it's about only focus on the results. And that's what really, like, when people say I don't have credibility to give them advice or even speak, not so much as give them advice, but speak on the subject I'm speaking about. When people say that, it really aggravates me, because I am so results based. I get results, and I don't speak like I know the subject unless I have had results on it. I just don't. Yeah. So it's all about results. So like you were saying off camera, like people don't believe your relationship is good. And I just pointed out, well, like, how is it not good? We're getting results.
How you painted it in the podcast. Because that's the first they've ever seen or heard of your relationship is on that podcast. But you painted it in such a way that if it's too good to be true, then it is. So you painted it this magical picture. And they're like, he's full of shit.
It is almost too good to be true.
Then therefore their opinion is valid.
Like I had somebody, and I'm going to read this on the podcast. I had somebody call me have small dick syndrome. Mm-hmm. Let me read the definition of small dick syndrome. Is a term that describes someone who is flexing without any facts or skills to back it up. Mm-hmm. Now, you know me as much as anybody. Mm-hmm. Be truthful, just from me to you. Does that explain me?
Yes.
That I flex without the facts or skills to back it up?
Oh, no, I misunderstood the thing. No, that's not you.
Okay, that's what it is. Now, do I articulate that perfectly?
No.
I would argue no, because I'm so real that I just say what I want to say when I want to say it. Mm-hmm. So I'm so genuine in the moment that I'm not a perfectionist, and I never want to be. I don't want to be that sauced up perfectionist talker. Mm-hmm. I want to be that real person, even if I have to mend the fucking reputation a little bit. Why? Because people get who they get from me.
Mm-hmm. I want to add to your opinion or your statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's not, you only share your opinion on something that you've done multiple times or do very well at. Now, where people take it out, and even I've done this, is you state it in such a way that it seems like it overflows into the other area. And they're like, oh, it's spilling into this area. He's bullshit. And just that little bit of spill will discredit everything else.
Yeah, but I believe it does spill. Mm-hmm. Like my success in business is mm-hmm. a direct result of my ability to be successful mm-hmm. in my relationship. Mm-hmm. Like, and I don't believe in family life, work life, balance, separation, and all that. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not successful in life and business, how can you be successful in business? Justin Waller's successful in business. He's not successful in life.
Well, let's dig into this.
Put a term on that. Let's put time on that.
Okay, let's dig into this. I have family members they have a very, very good home life. They're very well, everything's going good at home. But they don't have a big business doing 40 million. What do you view success as in a business? What's success to you?
You're achieving your dreams.
Okay.
Like when I tout that I'm running a $20 million business and over 70 million in gross income mm-hmm. since the beginning 7 years ago, when I tout that, I'm not trying to get all these mom and pops, mm-hmm. all these people that are not doing that or that's not their dream. I'm not trying to shame them. I'm trying to get to the people that want to do what I've done mm-hmm. because I know I can help them out.
That's a valid opinion.
I am perfectly able to help people out who I once was and who wants to get where I'm at today.
Yes.
So like a lot of people that listen to these podcasts thinks I'm talking to them when the truth is I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the one person or the 2 or 3 mm-hmm. or 30% of the people that listen to me that want to get to where I'm at. Right? So it's but let's go back to your question. Like you have some family members that are doing really great mm-hmm. and but I know one of your family members that I underestimated how they were doing in their business life and in mm-hmm. their financial life. Mm-hmm. But they like you look at them and they're doing really great in their home life. They mm-hmm. they have a great relationship mm-hmm. and they have a great little family and they have another one coming, right? Mm-hmm. And it always puzzled me like why are they so successful at life and family? And they're not successful at business. Come to find out they are successful at business. They just don't have they don't have as big as targets as me, and that's not a shaming. That's not a shaming comment at all.
But as someone that listens to it, they will take that as they take it like, oh, I'm not doing 20 million. Everyone should be doing 20 million. Therefore, I'm shit because I'm not doing 20 million.
Then I'm not the podcast they should be listening to.
But they haven't identified, okay, this isn't for me. Now I can take this, but I'm not going to take this. It comes as a package deal.
One of the things that I think, if people come to you and criticize me to you, like, ask them. So-and-so, why are you listening to his podcast?
Yeah, I've done that.
Well, do you want to go where he's doing? Do you want to be what he is? Well, no. Then don't listen to his podcast. It's not, if you're listening to my podcast and you don't want to do what I've done, you have no, you're only doing yourself a disservice to listen to my podcast.
Well, they want to do what you've done, but they don't want to do it the way you do it. Because they haven't identified and they haven't associated. It's like, okay, I want to go here, but I don't want to. They haven't figured out what they want.
But that you go find someone else that's done what I've done that doesn't do it the way I've do it. And there are people that are that way, but the principle is the same. If you don't want to do it the way I've done it, then don't listen to me because you're not going to agree with it. And it's actually going to discourage you. If you listen to coaches and people that you don't want to ultimately be like, it actually is demeaning to your own self. And I know I'm telling people not to listen to my podcast, but I truly don't want to injure you.
Well,
I truly don't want to injure people.
Person. Yeah.
And so don't listen to my podcast if you come out of it negative. Don't do it.
Oh, that reminds me of the thought or the conversation we had about before this podcast. What is the type of person that you want to? What's your target audience?
Successful or entrepreneurs that are inside businesses that want to level up. I never went to work for a company. I started working for jobs. I was on payrolls at age 16. And I never went to work for a company that I didn't level up in. So I can help entrepreneurs level up. I've been there. I know how to talk to your bosses. I know what energies to put out. I could coach entrepreneurs that want to level up inside their business to become greater. You've moved up in my business a lot. You started as a cutter, a saw guy out on the field, and now you've moved up to system and process manager, and we have you targeted to be office manager.
Yes.
Within a year or two, right? So you've moved up. And who helped you move up? Your willingness to listen to me. That's fair. Yeah. Did you have any other coaches outside of the business?
One or two. Not in person. It was like a thing I subscribed to.
Yeah. So you had coaches that helped you level up. I can do that. And so there's the entrepreneur that wants to level up. And then who I can help for reals, who I can really help skyrocket is entrepreneurs who are doing, they have to be doing over $1 million, or they have to know that they're going to go to $1 million.
Yes.
Right. It has to be a certain kind of entrepreneurs. If they're married, it's a way better plus. Why? Because I've done it while I was married or / in a relationship. I'm not actually married
with
yet,
kids,
but like she's my wife.
Yes.
Anyways, I've done it while I had that scenario. So that's what I know. So if you're married, if you're not married and you want to build a business as a single life, go find someone that has done that, because I don't agree with that. I'm not the Justin Wallers.
Well, after you hit a certain stage,
and Andrew Tate's, like they're demeaning to women, and let's just put it honestly, they're demeaning to women. I love women almost to a fault. Ask my wife. She will agree that I love women to a fault. She has to put me back in place at times.
I've gotten the statements that last podcast portrayed and painted a picture of you're a womanizer.
Okay, but we've already identified that podcast did what it meant to do.
Yeah.
It was controversial and brought popularity. And I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'll mend the fixes to that if I need.
But continue your
But
point.
the people that hated me, I don't really need to mend their fixes. But my point is that's who I can help. Like, if you want to learn how to build a business and be a womanizer and be someone that diminishes women and thinks that women are always disloyal and distrustful, go to the Justin Wallers, go to the Andrew Tates. That's who will help you be a womanizer and build a big business. I love women, and I've built a big business. So if you want to build a big business and you love women and and your own four walls, then you need to, you could come to me and I'd help you do that.
I wanted to add to a point of you helping, that point you made, helping me come up in the business. You helped me a lot. I would say, I can't put a percentage on it, but I will say, and I will add to this, is there's so many things that you said and you did that triggered the shit out of me. And there was times where I'm like, okay, I'm so triggered right now. Do I want to continue doing this? And there's always that there's never a guarantee that this is going to work out, even with marriage and any of that. There's never a guarantee that's going to be that like that forever.
No, and I'll never say that Tammy and I will be together forever.
Yeah,
because I will. When I refer to forever with me and Tammy, it's I feel it can be forever.
And I think the reason me and you have been friends and in doing business for this long is because we both are going to a place, but it's the best and the fastest route together. There's times that where we obviously have fights. We have, well, I wouldn't say fights, but we have very strong disagreements and differences of opinions because we're two different people. And so, but we're continuing it. There's always that risk that things go south, always. But we're both trying, we're both aiming, shooting to the same in the same direction. And so that's what keeps us together. Because right now, after this podcast, we could have a conversation and go our separate ways. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying there's always that risk with everything.
Yeah, there always is. And like, I think, I believe that both of us, I know I feel this way, and I'm very confident you feel the same way. And that is if you didn't have a certain amount of comfort that you'd be fine if we separated, then you would be doing this out of fear instead of out of intent, right? So like you want to work out the issues that are between us. Why? Because you said it yourself. It's the quickest way we can both succeed, right? And so like you've identified that, but you know you could go somewhere else and get a great job.
Yeah.
And survive.
Yes.
Right. But if you didn't have that level of comfort, you wouldn't be able to work out the intense issues that we work out.
Abundance mindset. If you have that limited, this has to work out, or therefore I will no longer be enough. Yeah. That's like fear. That's that fear
Brad
mindset.
Lee calls it mindset, skill set, and habits. And that's something that I feel like that you and I work on continuously. Mindset, skill
every day.
Mindset, skill set, and habits. And it's all about like, so my fast 40, and we'll close out the podcast after this quick story. So my fast 40 deal I'm on, I can't exercise. Better to not exercise, because if you're putting your body in a state, if you're trying to get your metabolism where it only burns fat, you don't want it to go into a desperate mindset of it needs to save the energy, it needs to save the food. You want it to realize that it will get the food it needs so it can just stay burning fat.
Yes.
So if you exercise, you need to eat a lot more. So when I am extra busy through the day and I'm exercising, stressing, whatever, exercising, the mind is still exercising. If I'm burning more energy through the day, I need to eat more. Like yesterday, I tended the kids and I did all that, and I was riding bikes, taking them on rides and stuff. So I ate, instead of 6 ounces, my typical serving, 6 ounces of whatever the foods are, then I did 8 ounces of each, and I still lost 1.7 pounds yesterday.
Why did you do that? Why did you up it 2 ounces?
Because I burned more energy yesterday. And that's what the doctor Dr. Cody Goldman said, if you're doing more exercise, up your food.
So yesterday was a burning of more calories than the previous days.
And so I ate more. So my body wouldn't go in a state of desperate and wanting to save. So like I kind of lost a little bit of track there, but it's all about knowing. I mean, as far as my ability to lose this much weight. Oh, this is what I was doing. Like I was talking about. So I told Brad Lee, I'm on this 40-day fast diet. And he tore into me like he really tore into me, just like anyways.
Because you wasn't
was
working
really
out. There's
because I told him I can't exercise, and he didn't agree with that. And so he went on a rampage.
It was funny.
It was a lot of fun. Justy was there watching it, but it should have been recorded, honestly. Like Justy said that Brad did to me what I do to him. But it was a lot of fun, but I was hanging out with him just the other day, and like he couldn't stop. He tried to not compliment me on how good I was looking. So just find out what works for you and go with it and stick to it, because you know yourself the most. So find what works for you and stick with it. And if you wanna have a great relationship, one and only, and a big business, I can help.
I want to touch on one last thing. So many people, and me included, the reason why the last podcast was so hard to stomach is you made it seem like getting that good of a relationship was as easy as it is, or easy as it was for you. You think that's easy, or you was painting it in a picture of it's this easy for everyone. And I will say that's bullshit, because I've dated a lot of girls. And I will say your wife is one kind of woman. I would say that
That's
stumbled upon.
That's why I went after her.
Yeah.
I identified she
you
was
stumbled
the kind of
upon
woman
a
that I wanted. No, I didn't stumble. This was a very intentional lady from the.
Okay.
I was looking for a girl,
but it's not
when I seen her.
replicatable for me.
I disagree, but you have to identify that it is irreplicatable.
I have identified who I want.
It's not replicatable to you because you don't think it is.
I would love more on this.
Well, it's simple as like I don't think that one of the things that's clear to me since that podcast is, and this is where I will admit I was wrong on that podcast, is I don't think you want a woman like Tammy.
Hold on. What makes you think I did want a woman like Tammy?
Because you've paid me a lot of compliments on how cool our relationship is. Just obviously off camera and just.
Do you ever remember me saying like, "Oh, she's cool. I would like a woman like her"? Because I pay a lot of respect to a lot of people. Okay.
Implied, but you've implied that. But obviously that I'm telling you like that is something that I've identified since that podcast that I was wrong. You don't want a lady like Tammy, and so that right there. Obviously, this is my opinion. You can come back on it, but because of that, then you don't feel like I am the relationship coach for you, which is fine. But up till my realization of that, I thought you did.
I'm thinking, why don't you think I want a woman like Tammy? Because
you don't feel like it's possible.
I feel like it's possible, but not in the way that you said it was.
Okay, but like let's pull this to a less controversial and less emotional standpoint, and that is business. Do you think growing a $20 million business is possible? Why? Because I've done it. You've witnessed me do it. So you think it's possible.
Yes.
So why don't, in the same principle, why don't you feel like you've watched me have a one-off first and only so far and a great relationship, right? Why don't you think that's possible with the same principle of building a $20 million business?
There is a lot of the same principles, but the way you have, the conversations we've had and you've said, here, do this and this and this, there was other things there because we're not the same people. I'm not you and you're not me. And Tammy's not the same. There's not another Tammy out there. And so
I think there is.
You could get close, but there's a few fundamental things that I'm not going to move my base on that aren't there. That were there for you. And this is why
well, that feeds into my deal. Like that feeds into my opinion now that you don't want someone like Tammy. Like, keep in mind, this is all opinion. We're talking opinion based here, right? Yeah. We're so close. It's impossible to not think this way about you. Like, or entertain.
I was just wondering, getting your opinion on it, because I don't recall saying this, but I didn't know.
No, I said it implied. But keep in mind, everything I said in that podcast about how I got Tammy or what I think people need to do to figure out who they want, I still stand by. Why? Because that's what I did. Okay, and that's what I did.
You're entitled to that opinion, right? Absolutely, because it's yours.
But hey, listen, our time's up, so we're gonna see you next week. This was a great podcast. I think it was by far the best podcast with justice, for sure.
One last thing. If you want change, figure out the fundamental things that you have to have for change and stick to them to the best you can. Now, if you fall off the horse, just get back on as soon as you can.
Absolutely.
And then continue it.
And focus on the results of those changes. Choose something that you get daily results, and learn how to do the small wins throughout the day, because those results, those small wins will catapult you to where you want to be.
Yes.
It's the daily ones. So with that, guys, go ahead and share this, because it was a great podcast.
It was. Agreed.
I won't take it from anyone that it wasn't. So share this, like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.